It is the year 2000. In a high-rise office in Dallas, Texas, two worlds are about to collide. On one side of the table, John Antioco, the CEO of Blockbuster, a $6 billion global empire with 9,000 stores and 65 million customers. On the other side, Reed Hastings and Marc Randolph, the founders of a struggling startup called Netflix that was losing $50 million a year. Hastings makes an offer: buy us for $50 million. We'll run your online brand while you keep the stores. Antioco's response? He laughed. He reportedly told them that the dot-com hysteria was overblown and that Netflix was a small, niche business. It was a long, quiet flight back to California for the Netflix team. But as they landed, the mission changed. They weren't looking for a buyer anymore. They were looking for a way to burn the kingdom down. Today, on the profit map, we're charting the most expensive no in business history. To understand why Blockbuster said no, you have to understand how they made money. In the 90s, Blockbuster was the king of the Friday night ritual. But there was a dark side to their success: late fees. At its peak, Blockbuster was pulling in nearly $800 million a year just from late fees. That was roughly 16% of their total revenue. Think about that. The company's business model was mathematically optimized for customer failure. They made more money when you had a bad experience and forgot to return a movie. When Netflix arrived with a no-late-fee subscription model, Blockbuster didn't see a better way to treat customers. They saw a threat to an $800 million profit center. This is the innovator's dilemma. Blockbuster was too addicted to the revenue of the present to invest in the technology of the future. Netflix started with a simple realization: going to a store is a chore. Their original blueprint wasn't streaming. The internet was too slow for that. It was the red envelope. They used the U.S. Postal Service as their distribution network, meaning they didn't need 9,000 stores, thousands of employees, or expensive electricity bills. While Blockbuster was managing real estate, Netflix was managing data. They built Cinematch, a recommendation algorithm that kept people subscribed. They realized that if they could suggest a movie you'd actually like, you'd never cancel. By 2002, Netflix went public. By 2005, they had 4 million subscribers. The niche business John Antioco laughed at was now a $500 million engine of growth. Here is the part of the story most people forget. Blockbuster did try to fight back. In 2004, John Antioco finally saw the writing on the wall. He launched Blockbuster Online and did something incredibly brave. He abolished late fees. And it worked. In just 1 year, Blockbuster Online signed up 2 million users. They were actually growing faster than Netflix. For a brief moment, the giant had woken up. But then, internal politics entered the room. Blockbuster's investors and board of directors hated that they were losing those $800 million in late fees. They fired Antioco and replaced him with Jim Keyes, a CEO who wanted to focus back on the physical stores. They retreated to the safety of their old business model right as the world was moving online. It was the final, fatal turn on the map. In 2007, Netflix did the impossible. They pivoted again. They knew DVDs wouldn't last forever, so they launched Watch Instantly. Streaming was the final nail in the coffin. Blockbuster was burdened by billions of dollars in debt from their physical stores, while Netflix's digital infrastructure allowed them to scale to millions of new users with almost zero extra cost. In 2010, the inevitable happened. Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The company that refused to spend $50 million to buy its rival was now worth less than the paper its bankruptcy filing was printed on. Today, Netflix is worth over $250 billion. Blockbuster is a single store in Oregon kept alive by nostalgia. It remains the most expensive no in history. If you want to understand the blueprints that build and break global giants, hit subscribe. We'll see you on the next map.